Good morning and welcome to another edition of Creative Space here on Wide Bay ITV. Well, this morning I have a really special guest and very well-known identity, Gail Grunsky. Thank you so much for joining the show this morning, Gail.
Thanks for inviting me, Karina.
I must say, for those viewers out there, the colour is absolutely amazing. Now, Gail, you're a felting artist, so can you just explain to the viewers what is the difference, say, from you're doing Nuno felting from, say, the traditional felting that we might have known from years gone by?
Nuno felting is what I do, and mainly that's with cotton or silk. I like silk. And in 1997, Polly Sterling, a very well-known felt artist, she discovered this process that is more for Australian conditions. It's light and easy to wear, and I've taken it up since then. Yeah, fabulous.
So before you got into felting, was art a different medium? Did you dabble in art before that?
I've always been interested in art, not so much in paintings, but I've always loved fabric. So I've always been a stitcher and a sewer. I made clothes and all things related to fabric. But when I found felting, that was it. I was in love.
So when you first started felting, what were some of the pitfalls and some of the lessons that you learned along the way?
Patience, to keep going. So when I started out, I sort of had to work things out a fair bit. So I had a lot of failures. But with the failures, I learnt other things. I learnt how to correct those faults and to work up to getting better and better. And I've done that, and I'm pretty happy with how it's led me. Yeah.
I have to admit, looking at the colours on some of the products that you've brought in here, they're absolutely stunning. Television doesn't do them justice, but have you found along the years you've developed your favourite colours?
Well, red's always my favourite colour. I love red.
As I can see. Now, I've just noticed that you were wearing a different design to what we've generally seen in most of your workshops. Can you tell me how did you come about coming up with this design?
This is a tunic, and I've always wanted to make more clothing type wearable art. But I wanted something that fitted most people. As I get older, I get a few lumps and bumps and things. I wanted to cover them up. So I thought this was a great idea with the silk, and I could wear it in winter with a long sleeve skivvy. I can wear it with a little cami underneath or a little t-shirt in the summer. And the problem I had was the neck stretching, but I figured that out with time. So I'm really happy with this, and I've got a few more here.
So we see in the traditional workshops, so for those viewers that may not be familiar with Gail's workshops, we're just going to pop a few of the images up that Gail does. Now, I was lucky enough that I was able to do a few workshops of Gail's. So this is one of my creations, my very first one. Now, we see a lot of the ladies that have got beautiful colours up there, and they do all sorts of fantastic work. Do you ever get them coming to you and saying, I can't do this is just too hard?
No, not really. Obviously, when they come along, they're intrepid, they don't know where they're going because this is new to them, and not very many people teach felting, particularly Nuno felting. But once they get into it, they love it. And I've got a big lot of wool that they can choose from, and they just get into it, and yeah, they love it.
So speaking of wool, the different types of wool. So we have merino and we have alpaca. Have you ever tried felting with any other type of wool?
Mainly I like merino. These here are all merino. I do some alpaca. I generally like clean, tidy wool, and I tried dyeing merino some years back, and I thought it wasn't for me. I'd rather felt than dye my products. So I buy from reputable people where I know that the wool won't run, and yeah, it suits me. I'm happy with that.
So of all the felting that you do, probably I've noticed that at the back you're experimenting with new designs and new things that we haven't seen for a while. What is the difference, say, between what you do with Nuno felting and more traditional style felting? Does it wear the same?
I think the Nuno felting with the silk or cottons, they're more suitable for Australian conditions. I can also include them in hats and pieces in artwork. It's more arty. Traditional felting is generally thick and heavy, more for European or very cold climates.
So we're talking before about the climate. So when we're doing felting for Australian climates, as I've discovered, the difference between the really light and, say, the really heavy feel, do you find that it's easier to do one or the other, or are they both the same?
They're probably both the same, but I do like to incorporate the silks. The silks give it more shine, they give it a lot more structure, and I love the texture of it. I love the texture and the design, and I can work around that.
So when we look at, say, the felting that you see on a big commercial scale, how does that differ? I mean, say from doing the normal, like the hand felting that you might do in a workshop when it's done by the big production machines. Does it wear any different, or have you noticed there's a difference?
I couldn't really answer that. I don't really know what they do in big productions with it. I just know that I like the hand felted, and also I can go ahead and make individual things and bring out that art form.
So we talk about individual things. I've got a point. Gail has got some fantastic hats here, and as you can see, I'm a hat person. I couldn't resist wearing my hat today. But what goes into making a hat, as opposed to, I mean, I know it's different making a shawl, but the process, I look at a hat and I see that and I go, there's no joins in it. How do we do that?
Oh, making a hat is a lot of fun. It was a bit of a challenge to begin with, but I think I've got it down pat now. And what you do with a hat is you make a pattern, which I show you in my workshops, and to your size, and it's 2D, and then there's a resist inside it, like a piece of plastic. We felt around that. Then later on we cut the plastic out and mould it and shape it. And you can see in these two here where I've really moulded and brought all those lovely big crinkles and all the big creases in it. I like that. It's a bit like pottery.
Yeah, pottery. So you're finding that there's more interest in felting as time goes by?
I think so, yes. Since COVID started, I was selling my things, and then COVID came, and so nobody was going out or whatever, but I had a lot of interest from workshops. Had a lot of people contact me, and I thought, yeah, I'll do some workshops, and I love it. I love meeting people and showing them my work, and yeah, it's good. Love it.
So when we talk about doing workshops, how was it when you did your very first workshop? Can you think back to the very first workshop, and how did you feel?
I can, and I was very nervous, and I was very worried that theirs wouldn't turn out. That worried me a little bit, but I'm happy to say I've done a lot of workshops and I haven't had a failure. And I say this to my workshop ladies or people when they come along, and I say, I haven't had a failure yet until today. And that all makes them laugh. And
I have to admit, having done a few of your workshops, it is very easy to do. And it's physically, sometimes it can be physically challenging, because I don't think people realise that when you go into making a shawl like this, is it 700 rolls of the...
Yeah.
I just have to explain to you that when you go along and you roll it up, it is 700
you'll scare them,
times.
Karina.
It's actually quite easy, but Gail has a very wonderful partner that will help you. And you create something like this that I would never have thought. And the process when you pop down something and you first start doing it to when it's finished is very different. So when we talk about colours now, recently we'll pop an image up on the screen. You do the most amazing white on white.
I do.
Now, people would look at that and think it's so easy to do, but what is the subtle differences? I mean, because when you look at the shawls, it pops out. You can still see every single detail. So is it very different to, say, the technique when you're doing the colours? Do you have to do a little bit more?
You do. In the one that you're wearing, which is my basic workshop, you get to choose all the different colours. But on the white on white, it's more about design. So I encourage you to design something, because you're just going to have the white on white, and it's a really lovely look.
It is.
It is.
For those who have never done a workshop of Gail's, I can honestly say, seeing the white on white in person, I couldn't even describe it. I mean, we popped it up on the screen, but it is just amazing. Now, you do other products as well. I love these pixie boots. I could wear them, well, probably not out horse riding, but I could wear them so often. So do people look at them and say, well, they're not practical, they're just for decoration, how could you wear them? So what do you say to that?
No, I haven't had anybody who said that they couldn't wear them. I would class them as slippers, more than boots that you'd probably wear out in the mud and that sort of thing. They are different. It's something I wanted to challenge myself again and make slippers, shoes. Took a little while to tweak it, and they're a lot of work because all the soles I've got to cut out and punch all around. I've got to stitch all those on, the finishing up and the decorations on the side. So once you make the actual slipper, shoe itself, then I decorate and stitch the roundabout. I had a lady who wanted a pair for her husband who loves boots, and I think there's a picture there of him with his feet on the cork tiles.
Yes, yes. I do like that picture. That's absolutely amazing.
I do too.
Now, when you go to festivals, you're not just a Wide Bay artisan, but you've attended some far-reaching places. On your travels, do you still go to workshops yourself? And if you have, where have been some of the workshops that you've gone to?
Do I present workshops or do I go to them?
Have you been to any? Like, do you have
No.
travelled overseas? Have you been?
No.
You're not one of these.
Basically, most of mine is all in my head or something I've designed myself. Yeah.
We were talking about workshops just before the show started, and you mentioned that you were doing workshops and you were going to Stanthorpe and Warwick. Now, the Warwick one, that's very different. What do you do when you go down there?
Now Warwick is for jumpers and jazz. I don't so much do workshops there, but I do have I'm at the Artisans Market there. I think that's on the 23rd of July. And I have a pop-up shop that goes from the 23rd of July to the 31st of July, and that's in Fitzroy Street. And I've been going to Jumpers and Jazz in Warwick for about the last 8-9 years, and I stay there for that time, and it's a fabulous festival. It's my most popular event for the year. People love funky way out things, and I'm just the girl to give it to them.
You definitely are. Now, we've got Moore Park Beach Festival coming up, and
Yes.
you are doing a workshop there.
Yes,
So what could people expect to do at the workshop?
I've got 2 small workshops. I think they're 2 to 3 hours. They're at the Bowls Club. I can't remember the dates just off the top of my head, but I think in the morning there is a felted glasses case. You can have a look at that on my Facebook page, and in the afternoon there's a little coin purse. So that's part of the Moore Park Arts Festival.
Has there been anything really unusual you've been asked to make?
I have a few people that would like me to copy people, and I don't really like that. I won't do that. I could make something similar, but I certainly won't copy somebody else's work.
That was one of the issues I spoke about with Jess on last week's show. We were speaking about how people will often copy or steal designs. Have you had that happen to you at all?
I have.
I guess with felting, I mean, is there a step that you can take as opposed to, say, with art where is it something that do you put, or have you considered putting the watermarks on your pictures? Or I know it's very hard when people come along to actual live exhibitions and see your work, but how do you know when somebody's copied your work?
Well, in this particular case, I was actually at an event selling my goods, and the couple of months before I was speaking to a lady about my work, and then I found her at the same event. That was not pleasant for her.
No. So in a situation like that, is there anything that an artist can do? Is there any recourse they can take, or they just have to wear it?
Yeah, you just wear it, yeah.
Okay. We're just going to take a short break for a moment, Gail. Now, while we take our short break, we're just going to pop up a few images of Gail's beautiful designs. Now, Gail, I have to say that you make the best model for these shawls.
Oh, thank you.
Gail has, she's modelling some fantastic products, and I have to say that hopefully you can pick up the colours on these, but have a look at these, and when we finish those, we will come back. We're just going to take a short break while these images are up, and then we will be back to speak with Gail Grunsky from Gail Grunsky Designs and her beautiful Nuno felting. Welcome back to Creative Space, and my guest today is Gail Grunsky. Welcome back, Gail. Now, we've just been talking about some of the festivals that you've done, and we've gone over some of the teaching. I've noticed that with the workshops, they evolve over time. So one of the workshops that we were talking about before was I Love Your Baby Beauties.
Oh, yes, yes.
So we're seeing a lot of these different ideas where people are getting private workshops for functions, and we were just talking about baby beauties and baby showers. Do you get private events? Do they ask for something specific?
I have done. I've done where there's been a hairdresser and all her employees have come in as a Christmas present. But I'd love to do baby booties for baby showers or groups. I get groups. Last workshop I had was a group of sisters and cousins, which was lovely. I get a lot of family members together. But I'm available to do things like that, yes.
So how long have you been in Bundaberg teaching and doing felting now?
I've been in Bundaberg about 5 years, but this is not the first time I've lived here. I've lived here 3 times before, and I'm never leaving now. I love it.
Something obviously about Bundaberg. Now, as an artisan, I've noticed, and I don't know whether you've noticed, that we have an amazing talent pool here in Bundaberg.
We do.
And I've been to a lot of areas where they're supposed to be very crafty, but I just noticed with Bundaberg there's so much going on now. I know you do workshops in Toowoomba as well.
I do.
And are they different? When you go there, is there a different clientele? Or is it all the same?
No, it is a little bit different. I used to live in the Toowoomba Crow's Nest area, so a lot of the people I already know. I've also taught out in Outback for remote women. I go to Charleville, Quilpie, Claremont, and I enjoy those, meeting the people out in those outback areas. Most of those people, because they are remote, they go for a grant, and that works out great. I get to see the country, meet people, and do a workshop. It's fabulous.
I must say that I love the felting process. It is just so, it's therapeutic.
It is.
There is something about just getting lost in that rolling. And I found when I was doing it that you can't, but it's kind of like a meditation.
It is.
Now, you do that on a larger scale, so I'd imagine over the years you're not rolling as much anymore. So what are some of the newer things that help you do this?
Because I've been felting for a long time, getting a little older, I thought, oh, my shoulders won't last, so I bought a rolling machine. I bought it in from America. At that time there wasn't a felting machine in Australia. There is now, but all that does is do the rolling part for me. So I can go away and have a cup of tea or make something else. It's not faster, but it saves me from all that laborious rolling. Therefore, I can make quite a few more things. But I still have to do the design, which I love. Everybody loves that bit. And I still have to full it properly.
We're talking about design and the materials that you use. Have you ever considered, I know with spinners and weavers, say, I've heard spinners and weavers use everything from dog's hair to rabbit's fur, and have you ever thought about trying something different to see whether it does work?
I wouldn't like dog's fur so much. I can't imagine wearing that around my neck. I do try other things. There's locks. I use some raw fleece in some crazy hats that you'll see, and bags I make. What else I've used? Cashmere. I've used camel fur or camel hair. Different fibres, but I do like the merino. The merino is smoother, nicer to work with too.
I have to say that I look at your designs and I think that the world just needs a little bit more felting. When we were talking before, I mentioned that about the lost trades fairs, and we were talking about some of the processes and the techniques that go into those. Going back to felting, so we often hear people saying about felting, what is something that we can do to protect our felting from, say, shrinking?
Well, when you buy a piece or you finish a piece like you have there, Karina, the care of it is, and it needs washing, you do not put it in hot water because it will continue to felt and agitate it. You do not put it in the washing machine. It's just dunk, wool wash, roll it in a towel. Put it. The more agitation and heat you're going to give it, it's going to continue to shrink.
No, I have to admit that for all those men that are out there, or maybe women, do not put them in the washing machine because I learnt the hard way.
Oh.
It was quite accidental, but I have to admit that I have washed this a few times and it hasn't shrunk. It is really, really good. Now, felting, people think of felting as just an occasional wear. And I know with you, you wear your products so well. But do you ever go out and see women dressed up in everyday occasions and think that's one of my designs?
Oh yes, I've seen that. And quite often if I do see that, I'll stop them and say, remember me, or that's one of mine. And yeah, I'm delighted when I see that.
So where can you see felting going? Do you think, is there enough, because felting isn't something that we would see, like in the areas we see a lot of painters with these sculptures,
yes,
people doing pottery, but do you see felting lasting the distance?
Well, it's been around a very, very long time. Felting without the silk and fabrics is one of the first art forms, or the first where people wore it to keep warm, or put it in their shoes and it felted in their shoes, the wool inside their shoes. I think felting has got a long way to go. I don't think I'll ever run out of ideas. I can think of a new idea every 10 minutes.
And your ideas are absolutely fantastic. Gail, I know you're doing some more workshops coming up, and we're going to pop all the information on Gail's Facebook page where you can contact her. And don't forget that we've got Gail is doing her workshop at the Moore Park Beats Festival, which is coming up soon. Gail, it's been absolutely wonderful having you as a guest, and I have loved all the colour. I would love to take all your designs home. I don't know if my budget will go for that just quite at this moment, but when we talk about budget now, these pieces are very, very inexpensive for the artwork they are, and they last a long time. Because it's wool, I mean, I would expect this to last possibly to my granddaughter.
Should do.
Should do.
Should do.
So there is an image that we've got there of this man playing a harp, and he's wearing one of your beautiful hats. Can you tell me where that was done?
That was at a festival called Knit Fest up at Mullaney, and the harp player came along and he put the hat on and he said, I've got to have this hat. So he bought the hat, and I think he had a lot more audience by playing the harp and looking a bit elf-like with the hat on. But after he finished playing the harp, he came over and he saw another hat he liked. So he bought two, and one was more pixie-fied. I've seen him since at other events, and he's still wearing that hat.
I have to admit that you can never have enough hats.
I agree.
You can never have enough hats, and you can never have enough beautiful colours and shawls in the world. And
they make you bright and feel lovely, don't they?
We were talking about that before when I said, I was told I needed a bit more colour. So colour I've got. But anyway, thank you for coming in, Gail. It's been absolutely fantastic to have you on. Wide Bay viewers, thank you for tuning in again. Now, next week we're going to have a very special guest on the program, What a Woman. So she's going to be showcasing her beautiful polymer clay jewellery. But today's guest, Gail Grunsky, thank you so much for coming along. And for anyone who has ever thought about doing a workshop, they are easy to do, a lot of fun, and Gail is a fantastic teacher. So until the next time, create and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you somewhere in creative space. Thanks for joining us.